Hey, everybody. My name is Peter Preston, and welcome back to Marketplace Growth by Acoil.
Hi, and I'm Kate, and it's great to be with you today.
So, today we're going to try something a little bit different. We're calling it Tactical Tips in 10. I got through that in one take without twisting my tongue, which is amazing because when I was practicing, I had to do it like 10 times. Our aim with this is to give you marketplace partners actionable tips in under 10 minutes. So, we're going to be watching the clock today, and you can keep us accountable. We'll see how long this turns out on YouTube after some fancy editing. So today we're actually going to be diving into 3 things that you have to get right on your marketplace listing page, either when you launch a product or you can actually go back and update existing products. So if you've ever wondered or asked yourself, how do I make the most out of my marketplace listing page? We've got some pretty strong opinions on things that are really important to have and how to do them. A quick note, in our last video, we actually talked about pricing your apps on the marketplace. And if you haven't seen that yet, I really encourage you to go back and check that out. It's based on a lot of experience and we've got some good tips in there for you. So if you haven't seen that, please get back to the channel and have a look at that when you're done watching this video. Kate, I think this is a question that's come up a lot, right? Is like, how do we make the most out of our marketplace listing page? This is something that we've heard a lot about from marketplace partners over the past several months. This is something that we wrestled with as Think Tilt and our Performer app. How do we make this as good as possible? Convincing people to try your app and buy your app right there on the page. So if you've ever struggled to know what to do with your marketplace listing page, we're going to get into pretty tactical stuff today. Anything that you want to add to that before we get into it, Kate?
Well, I love a good app listing page, and I can't believe how often they're undercooked. The one thing I would be saying to people is that it needs to be a regular priority on your workload. So you
Mm,
need to constantly be looking at that page and how do I improve it? It is your window to the world, and you just need to make sure you do it really, really well. But I'm going to leave it to you, Peter, because this is your game. This is your shtick, the marketplace listing. You're good at this stuff.
yeah.
So I want to hear from you about the things you think are the important things we should be focusing on. And we're at the 3-minute mark, Pete. So we're quick
Okay, thank you.
accountable.
I got to keep moving. Got to keep moving. All right.
Sorry.
Before I go to my tips, how frequently should people be looking at their marketplace listing page?
Well, I think it depends on what your numbers are doing, and it depends on how much engagement you're having. But if you are finding that you're stalling on your growth numbers and your evals, because remember, evals it's a maths game.
Yep.
I think you need to be looking at it at least once a fortnight or even every week. But there's quite a lot of work you need to do behind the scenes before you start just slapping and changing things.
Okay.
So testing and keyword searches, etc. But I'm sure you're going to talk about all of that.
If we don't talk about it today, we'll talk about it in another video because I think that and looking at your analytics and segmentation is really important. So, okay, we're behind schedule already. So I'll just get into the tips. So the tactical tips that we have today. Tip number one is have a video walkthrough that actually shows what your product does. It doesn't need to be overly polished or produced. You really just want to show people what they're going to get when they install your app, whether it be on DC or cloud. Just give people a good sense of what they're actually getting into. I've got 2 reasons why this is important. One, so that the people that are on your listing page actually know if it can solve the problem that they're looking to solve. And 2, so that when they actually do go and install your app, it looks and feels familiar to them, which counts for a lot, in my opinion. I think that's really important to speed up adoption and just get them to value faster if it feels comfortable. Does that make sense to you, Kate?
Absolutely. And I think people get caught up in having to have really schmick videos. And I think this marketplace is different in that respect. And remember, just think everything about your listing is about your identifiable, your current identifiable customer, and walk in their shoes. And
Mm.
some of your customers are just visual people. So they just want to know, does this solve my problem? Does it look what I need? Yep, good. Let's go with it.
We're going to go to tip number 2 today, and that is to include testimonials from actual users. Don't make any of this stuff up. So even if you're just launching, let someone use the product before you go to the public or general audience on this one and make it available to everyone. So if you have beta testers, early testers, even friends within the marketplace that you want to just give them the product, let them try it and get honest feedback from them. Even one genuine customer quote can convince other people that it's right for them, or maybe not right for them, which is also a good thing. if you've done early access and you have people that have given you quotes and testimonials about the value of the product, once you do go live, if those same people are verified users and actually still are using the product, ask them to jump in and leave you reviews to kickstart that review flywheel. Because as we all know, looking at the marketplace listings, before you actually click on the listing, the few things that you look at are number of installs and reviews, right? So really important stuff. And then just once they're on the page, if you include quotes either up in your highlights or down in the more detailed section, I find that to be a really powerful way to express the value of the product. Tip number 3, keyword stuff your app name. And what I mean by this, I think if anyone's been paying attention to SEO over the past 20 years or so, SEO started off as you just used the search terms that people were using, that they were typing into Google, and you would rank for that, no problem. The marketplace is kind of like that. It's a bit 20 years-ish behind the times, but the apps that do really well on the marketplace use the search terms that people are actually looking for in the name of the product. The marketplace is based on keyword searches, often around functionality and features, not necessarily benefits and all that sort of stuff. If people wanted a form builder, we gave them a form builder in Jira. Like that was the name for Proforma for a very good reason, because that's what people were searching for. It's kind of like gaming the system and just going by the rules that the search engine has given to us. I know it's not very sexy to have boring names, but the point is to not be too clever and to actually just give people what they're looking for. We've got some examples of that, which I'll actually put on the screen. So custom charts for Jira reports and Jira dashboard filter from Old Street, better PDF exporter for Jira, and X-Rays test management for Jira. Pretty basic names for products, but on the marketplace, that's what counts.
Yep.
Would you agree with that, Kate?
Absolutely. And remember, we used to tweak around and we would notice the difference by changing the names. So the testing, the testing.
And then we actually we'd put up a free version of the app, right? Just to have a bit of a playground there. So bonus tip, if you want to publish a free app there where you can kind of play around with the keywords, that's what we did. And it was great to understand where we actually were starting to get traffic. Not to mention you grab more real estate on the marketplace. Quick summary of the tips. 1, record a video of your product. Make it show exactly what customers are going to get when they do install your product. Get testimonials from early access users and include those on the marketplace listing page. And the third one was learn the keywords and search terms that people are using to look for products like yours to solve the problems that your app solves, and shove them into your app name.
Sounds good. Do you know what I'm really interested in now, Pete, is actually knowing where you've made some mistakes in the past and what you would do differently. So why don't you give me a couple of those? Because I think everyone always loves hear about a good cock up.
I've got a few in my back pocket, unfortunately, more than I care to admit, but I'll highlight 2 here. I think the first one is focusing too much on the benefits and less on the features. What we found back in the Think Tilt days talking to customers was we had a pretty good split between people using Google to find solutions and then the marketplace itself as their search engine. And when our copy for Proforma was focused on benefits and didn't really talk about the features so much, we didn't get as much traffic. And when we swapped that over to be feature heavy and benefit light, we definitely got more traffic. Because again, this is like naming your app, right? You want to use the terms that people are using to search for products like yours. And when we had a form builder, that's what people would search for. Talking about the ability to capture data and put data into workflows. No one was searching for that on the marketplace, not often anyway. And once you start talking about form builders and conditional fields and all that sort of stuff that go into a form builder, we got a lot more traction on that one. And that goes back to what we talked about before with just the experimentation. The really cool thing about the marketplace is how responsive it is. Once you update your page, you can start immediately to see how it performs. Just start typing in your keywords and you can see exactly how it's going to rank. Mistake number 2 I have was low quality or low resolution screenshots for your highlights, the highlight images, and all the screenshots and images that you can attach. Kind of like the video, you want them to be sharp and crisp, but you actually want to highlight what's actually in the product. We see a lot of marketplace listings with cartoonified versions of an app that don't actually look anything like it. I find the experience as a buyer on the marketplace, if I can't actually see the app, it's a bit frustrating. So using screenshots that actually highlight what your product looks like and having them high res are really important.
And I think do more of them than less, because you've got the chance to do that.
Yeah.
So, don't tease, give enough to actually help people answer their questions.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Something that I've been thinking about recently with those, like all the extra screenshots that you can attach to your listing page is just like answering your FAQs right there in the screenshots, and just addressing any objections
Yeah.
that you get. If
Yeah.
you've got an app going already, look through support, find common questions, put it into an FAQ, absolutely. But also, why not whack that into some of the screenshots and images
Yeah.
that you have on the marketplace? If you want to dive a bit deeper into building out your marketplace listing page, Atlassian has published a few articles on this. I will link to those down in the description below. One on creating your app listing in the marketplace, and then one is building your presence. And I believe that second one actually has some character counts for different fields on the marketplace, which is really, really helpful so that you don't write all this beautiful prose out and then find that you can only put a third of it on the marketplace. That's frustrating. So there's some character counts in there. Kate, anything to add before we wrap?
No,
All
no,
right.
other than there's nothing better than a good app listing.
I love them too. This is like the most fun part of my job, I think,
Yeah.
is playing with these
It's
things.
very satisfying. It's very
Yeah,
satisfying when you find the sweet spot.
it is. All right, everybody. So these tips are applicable to new apps if you're launching something new, and also old apps. If you've been around for the past 15 years on the marketplace, why not go back and have a look? Are you ticking these boxes? Could you improve the way that you talk about your features over benefits, improve the highlights, the screenshots and all that sort of stuff? And, I wouldn't suggest changing the name of an older app, but if you're launching something new, have a close look at the search terms that are performing well on the marketplace and consider naming your app that. That is it for our first ever tactical tips in 10. If this is your first time here on the channel, please hit subscribe, click the bell to get notified when we launch these. We're doing one of these every single week. And until next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you.
See you later, guys. Take care.